So this is the Super Bear from Bear Forest Knives. This particular blade is a prototype, and it is in a new steel, or a new to the market steel as we know it, Sup9. I believe this is a 5155 steel, fairly close to 5160, and it is a relatively new steel offering from New Jersey Steel Baron. I've done a lot of testing with this knife. You can see my previous videos on it. But I wanted to do some edge testing on this blade, so I went full effort. I cut up all kinds of cardboard into equal length strips, and I did 100 cuts. I cut through 100 pieces of cardboard with this knife. Now I want to give you some qualifiers here. I want to explain a little bit of this. This is a convex edge, relatively thick for strength with this full flat grind, so the apex of the edge has quite a bit of support. But when I got done cutting, it was actually I think 98 pieces of cardboard. When I got done cutting all of these pieces of cardboard, the knife still shaved hair, and it was still cutting, and I was out of cardboard, and I didn't think it would last nearly so long. Now, just so that you know, when it comes to an EDC knife or a pocket knife versus a heavy use bush fixed blade knife, typically steels like Sup9 can be more popular because typically they don't hold an edge as well. But in the woods, you don't need to hold an edge as well because for the most part, wood and flesh is not nearly so abrasive as things like cardboard. Cardboard is very abrasive. So what I have, the conclusion that I've come to through this testing, for one, it gave me a new respect for Pete at Cedric and Ada. I don't know if I can link him somewhere here or in the description box below or in the comments below, but he is genuinely one of my favorite YouTube channels, and he's doing fantastic work when it comes to edge holding. And he's got a lot of videos up, and through the, he's been doing this, I think, as long as I have, maybe not quite as long, maybe a little bit longer, I'm not exactly sure, but you can see an evolution over time in his style and the conclusions that he comes to. But the guy puts in the work, and he sits there and cuts twisted sisal rope. Gave me a new respect for that. I got a new respect for Joe X when I broke the Ontario SP10 while wearing a gas mask for most of it, chopping through metal and stuff like that. A lot of this truly is a lot of work. But what I came to the realization of while doing this test, besides the fact that it was a lot of work, was that I should do more edge testing. So that's a bit of what we're going to talk about today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting the channel. You can see all the ways to do this in the description box below. It includes affiliate links and Patreon and stuff like that. But the primary method for supporting this channel would be through my knife brand, Exodus Knife and Tool, made in the USA, no questions asked, lifetime guarantee on standard options. Beach and Tactical, I designed this rifle sling while in Afghanistan. I make them all custom to order. And what's special for the month of March is I have a giveaway going on. Winner will be announced on St. Patrick's Day for a set of solid copper Exodus Knife and Tool Adventure Craft or White River Knife and Tool Exodus 3 knives. Solid copper. One person who buys a knife from ExodusKnifeandTool.com up until St. Patrick's Day will be entered to win these for free. And until St. Patrick's Day, I reopened a pre-order for hoodies. Misadventure is still adventure. Super high quality hoodies only until St. Patrick's Day. So, if you enjoy this stuff, go check it out. All right, so edge testing has not been super important to me because in the bush, it's not quite as important. Edge holding is not as big of a deal. I'm generally more concerned about strength and toughness. Now this knife, again, being a prototype and in a new steel, I do not believe that Garrett will be staying with this steel with this design. He's going to look for a little bit more strength. We took a bend in our testing, and there's this relationship between toughness and strength that I won't get into right now. However, I see a lot of potential in this steel. I think it has somewhat low strength but high toughness. I think this steel would be better suited to something with more of a saber grind and a little more support, and then I think it would be indestructible. But again, I haven't been testing edge holding in the 10 years I've been doing this that much. You know, I mention offhand that this knife has been or has not been holding an edge very well, and then I mention this knife is or is not easy to sharpen. So here's what I want to do going forward. I want to purchase a sharpness tester, like you see, hopefully, right here. A little bit expensive. I think it'll cost me about $250. It has to be done the right way, because if you just hack through the wire really quick, you'll get false tests, and a lot of scammers and YouTube channels are out there falsely promoting products and giving bad ratings on these testers by just doing it really quick. But I think I need to get one of these. I think I need to be testing sharpness, and that would easily allow me to start creating a benchmark for brand new knives, where I could tell you the sharpness on this knife that's never cut anything as it comes from the factory is this amount. We can start keeping track of that, and we can have a benchmark. And then it will allow me to do something like this cut test, where if I cut cardboard, or I'll probably instead choose to cut twisted sisal rope or something like that. Hopefully something that requires less cutting. You know, I could do 100 cuts, and I could talk to you about the drop in sharpness using the tester. I think that's important. Now, I'll probably purchase this through Patreon. And this is part of what makes Patreon so special, because although I do, at this point, I didn't used to, I do represent a brand now, Exodus Knife and Tool. It's not a huge brand. I'm just a regular guy out here. So a $250 tester, kind of a big deal. But I think it'll add a lot of value to the channel, and I do think it's worth it. And Patreon helps me so much with stuff like this. I occasionally buy knives using Patreon and stuff like that. Not only does it help me to acquire some of these tools and some of these knives, but it also helps me to test and abuse them without concern for wasting my money. I don't want to be just another guy that says, hey, look at this knife. It's cool. I can cut an MRE open with it. You should buy it. Like, that's the reason I started doing YouTube, is because it's so hard to find good information. Going forward from that, the other thing that I want to purchase from, I think it's KK Knives in Switzerland, is an actual edge geometry tester. So it will come with specific abrasives. You'll lock it into a machine, and it will cut down through this abrasive at an angle and actually measure resistance all through the different points of the process and give you an edge geometry evaluation. I think that's something that I really should have and would give a lot of value to this channel as well. I don't think that's been released yet. Those are probably going to cost somewhere between $800 and $1,000. So with this sharpness tester, and potentially with that machine as well, I do think that getting into edge sharpness and into more scientific analysis of edge geometry is something that I need to do. You know, I just think that those are value-added items. Now, when it comes to the Sup9 and the Bear Force knives here, the results that I got from this testing, I don't have any benchmark to give you, so all of that testing that I did has very little value. However, what we're going to do going forward, we are going to break this knife. And so what I want to do, I want to do all of the silly break tests. We'll do a tip test, and we'll do this and that and the other. Then I want to shoot it with a Desert Eagle straight on the edge and try and split a bullet in 50 Action Express. That will be entertaining. And once I've done that, I want to, whatever's left, hopefully about this much of the knife, I want to reprofile this edge down, thin it out, get rid of the convex, and just get it really slicey and do some edge testing. Oh, excuse me, before I destroy the knife, I want to do some edge destruction testing. We're going to chop some nails and do some stuff like that. I want to thin this edge out and then do the same tests that I had done with the OEM edge, again, with the thinner edge. Now, none of this will be perfect. This is a prototype knife. Garrett, I do not think is going to go forward with this design and this steel based on his testing, and he sent these out to a few other people that he trusts. And heat treat and stuff could still be tweaked back and forth and could get dialed in, and more performance could potentially be garnered from the Sup9. However, garnished, I don't know. However, I think that this will give us a fairly good baseline, an idea of maybe what Sup9 can do. So the way to look at this, when you see my testing, you can say Sup9 can be at least that good. Okay? That doesn't mean it couldn't be better. So I'm trying to get the most value that I can for the viewer, not only on the design, on Bear Force Knives work, but also on Sup9 as a steel, and that's how I intend to do it. I am looking forward to it. This is a cool knife design. It's incredibly comfortable in the hand. Bear Force Knives always sells knives at a very fair or affordable price point for a handmade knife. This handle is incredibly comfortable, so I think that this design, once dialed in, I think he's considering using some steels that he uses more often, 52-100, 80 CRV2, something like that. But I think that this design has potential for being a not a heavy use woods knife, but a potentially lightweight woods knife that can handle some heavy use, maybe even getting a little bit into a combative category. That's about where I see this design, and this I guarantee you, if we were to talk about this knife in a combative category, when it comes to practical knives, this handle would most likely be more comfortable through heavy, strenuous use than any combat knife that I can think of on the market as a whole. And the reason is this handle is so much larger, very, very well rounded. That means a little bit more size on the belt or on the kit. But on the flip side, if you're working hard, dehydrated, freaking starving, shaking, sweating, freezing, whatever else, it gives you an incredible amount of security. Your hand is far from the edge. You've got that giant guard there, and it is comfortable. So it's kind of an interesting mix of blade here, an interesting balance of performance for the design, and I'm pretty excited about it. So that's where we're going from here. My edge testing was a bust. I do apologize. But you know what? I've learned where and how I can, at least one way, where and how I can improve this channel going forward. And I think having a bit of a vision for that, I'm excited about it. Honestly, I'm excited to get some more of this equipment and to get more into testing edge holding. Does that mean that I will start doing more reviews on EDC style knives with super thin edge geometry? No. I've got enough knives like that to review right now. Moving forward with this channel, where I want to be at the least is bushcraft style knives, but I don't enjoy reviewing even those quite as much because there's not as much I can do with them. Going forward with this channel, I want to focus on bigger stuff, like 7 inches and up on blade size, because then I can do more testing. The knives can take more abuse. I can baton, I can chop, I can do the edge holding stuff, I can do the edge geometry stuff, but it gives me more to do. I really hate to use a knife with a 4-inch blade. Any knife with a 4-inch blade can probably baton almost anything. When you're talking about good quality knives with parameters that are anywhere around the average, all right? So if we're not talking about a knife that's 10 thou behind the edge or 6 thou behind the edge, and we're not talking about a Bear Grylls knife with poor design and serrations and stress risers, outside of, or some knife in like Rex 121 or something like that, outside of these crazy parameters, almost any 4-inch knife will baton anything that you want to baton. Most of them will probably work as a pry bar if you want to use them as a pry bar. I don't recommend it, but the thing is, you can't get that much leverage or force into a knife with a 4-inch blade. So what? I show you that it can do feather sticks, and I tell you about the ergonomics and the edge geometry, and I do a edge holding test, and that's the end of the video forever? Not what I want to do as much. I want to get big knives, I want to beat on them, I want to compare them to each other side by side, and do everything else as well. It just gives me more to do and it's more fun. So that's where we're headed. Yet another video where I blather on. But I hope that somebody enjoyed it. If you watched the whole video, comment with OG in the description box for Outro Gang. Let me know what you think. Let me know about the direction that we're going to take here. And I think with focusing on larger knives and doing edge holding testing and having some of this equipment, I think it's just going to make the large knife videos even better. It's really literally all that I want to lean into right now. In fact, I've got combat knife footage coming, Bussy and Fox knives, and some others. I don't know why I can't think of it. I've got my twisted wood up here. I've got more twisted trees that I'm going to cut into sections for batoning, for just extreme abuse. You guys, the thing that you do to really abuse a blade, you don't just bend it. That ain't nothing. Who cares? You bend it and then you twist it. That's where toughness really becomes apparent. So I've got that. I'm going to start cutting those up, getting those ready for some testing, do this combat knife video. I might consider some more combat knives for the videos to add into the comparison here. That's where we're going. Commenting OG, let me know what you think. Let me think about the direction. I hope that you have a blessed day, and I will talk to you in the comment section below.